Hello, everyone. Halloween is almost here, and that means that we're thinking about costumes and candy. We're thinking about the opportunity to pretend to be something that we're not. Maybe a superhero or a fairy, something that we wouldn't necessarily be in reality. And that is fine for that one day a year. But if you find yourself always needing to pretend to be someone that you're not so that you feel worthy or accepted, you may be suffering from imposter syndrome. Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Marcia Martin, the heart healer, and today we are going to dive deep into the topic of imposter syndrome. We're going to discover what it is, what you can do about it, and who in the angelic energetic realm is capable of helping you move from that space of I'm not worthy into the space of I am more than enough, because you are. So let's get started. And the first thing, as always, I want to share with you is the definition. I want to make sure that we all understand what we're talking about. And it's so easy with so much information swirling around to get bits and pieces of things and try to put together an understanding from the bits and pieces. So let's all make sure that we're on the same page to begin. So, the first thing, imposter syndrome is, and this is from the dictionary, anxiety or self doubt that results from persistently undervaluing one's competence and active role in achieving success while falsely attributing one's accomplishments to luck or other external factors. Now, I want you to focus on a couple of things here. Instead of coming from within, instead of recognizing your value and seeing what you have to share, you're looking outside yourself. Oh, maybe a costume will turn me into this person that I want to be. Or maybe an association with someone else will turn me into a successful person that I want to be. You're looking outside of yourself. You might be engaging in things that are guaranteed to bring you luck or something like that, but you're forgetting to bet on yourself, you who are the champion, and you're expecting that something that may or may not exist outside of yourself is going to help you. But imposter syndrome is not a reality based thing. It's an illusion. It is the belief and not the truth. So if you are suffering from imposter syndrome, you will say to yourself things like, I'm not good enough at, let's use the thing, I want to be a mathematician. So I might say to myself, oh, I'm just not good enough at this. Meanwhile, you have a list of accolades of ways in which you understand the mathematical world better than most people. But because you don't feel the confidence within yourself, you keep telling yourself, I really want to be a mathematician. I really love math and the theory and the idea and what you can do with numbers. I'm just not good enough. And then us, those of us who are not you, may engage with you in a conversation or ask you to explain a particular theory about mathematics. And you absolutely blow us out of the water with your ability to understand the way these things, these principles work together. And it absolutely proves that you have everything you need to be a mathematician, except, and this is the killer, this is what's going to stop you from recognizing or realizing your dreams, the belief. You must believe in you. As long as you believe, I can't, I don't have the information, I don't have the ability, I'm not able, as long as those are the thoughts that are running through your mind, as long as that's the self talk that you are engaging in, you will always be correct. It doesn't matter that you may be a math genius and everyone around you can see it. It only matters that you are not in alignment with that truth. Instead, you've put yourself out here in a place that is not helpful, and you're telling yourself all of these lies, and then you are asking yourself, gosh, I just can't figure out why I can't make it as a mathematician. You won't allow yourself to make it as a mathematician because you're so busy filling your energetic vibration with, I'm not good enough. I am unable to understand mathematics, or I don't have what it takes. It's impossible for your truth to get through that barrier. You need to let go of that self talk. You need to do a major reality check. Who are you really? So, imposter syndrome, you're saying to yourself all sorts of lies, and some of them are also that, well, success is just something that happens by chance. Success never is going to happen to anyone by chance. Look at a pro athlete. They train and train and train for years because they want to be successful, and they know the only way that it's going to happen is with their persistence. They could give up anywhere along the way and tell themselves they're just not good enough. But instead, they put the effort in and they train. Success is a result of work, commitment, persistence, and patience. Yes, it will build on your raw talent, but we already established that you have plenty of raw talent. And let me tell you, if you are feeling directed or guided to a particular area, it's because you already have the raw talent for this thing. You have the desire because you have the talent. So, success is not going to come through that big mental iron curtain that you've got going on in your brain. It's going to come to you when you start recognizing the truth. But success also doesn't come to you if you give up. So I'm going to recommend that you get really stubborn and you start recognizing that it is time to see yourself as you truly are, instead of the way you may have been painted by friends, by family, by society. Get to know you. And then once you know you, and when you are being true to yourself, others are going to be able to see it and support you in that. Now, let's remember that success is not guaranteed, but everyone has a gift and everyone can be successful at everything. And let's also separate success from fame. You can be extremely good at whatever it is you do, and nobody would ever hear about you because you have not pursued any kind of publicity. So don't identify success, being good at whatever it is, with everybody is going to know who you are or what you've achieved. Allow the success to make you feel good. Success is going to come to you when you are being authentic, when you have stopped telling yourself all of these lies and you're finally beginning to recognize you have what it takes. So let's use as an example a family business. We did the mathematician. Now let's do a shoemaker family business. Well, this family is, very old fashioned, and they expect that you, as the firstborn, are going to take over this business. And they've been really drilling this into your head. But this shoemaker business that you have been born into requires that you are very good with precision and that you really have an eye for detail and that you like to sit still for long periods of time. Well, gosh, what's going to happen if you, as a child, are clumsy, don't like to sit still, have no eye for detail, and really cannot relate to the idea of being a shoemaker? Well, it could cause the child to feel a deep amount of shame and feel like an imposter. And in this particular case, it would be true. If the child tries to step into the role of being a shoemaker with no talent and no affinity for that particular position, they would be an imposter. They would be an imposter trying to fulfill the parent dream instead of the dream that comes from the self. So it's important that you begin fulfilling your dream and ask your parents to honor what you need to do for this life journey and not what they needed to do for this life journey. But if you were to continue in the shoemaker role, you would ultimately end up failing because you don't have any of the talent necessary to do the job. And that would really make you feel as though you were worthless. In this particular case, it's a poor matchup between what you are good at and the task that you have set in front of yourself. So success suggests and states that you are to play to your strength. And even though it is really good to get a general knowledge of everything it is that you are desiring to do, understand that you're going to be better at some things than you are at everything. And it's okay to say to yourself, well, okay, shoemaker business. I'm very clumsy. I don't like sitting still. I don't do any kind of precision work well. But this business is more than just making shoes. Perhaps there's an aspect of this business that I can do well. So you might gain a general knowledge of what it's like to work with the leather or the material that's being used to make the shoe, to understand the dimensions of the foot and how you can make it comfortable. But you wouldn't try to put all of your energy into that particular direction because you understand I'm not good at that and I need to look in the direction that I am suited for. So, if you're going to do well at this, you're going to have to really align with your strengths. Now, I'm going to share something that happened to me, which is really ridiculous, but it shows how important it is not to keep pushing yourself to do something that you are not qualified to do and have no affinity for. So I am just in the process of creating a nonprofit foundation so that I can offer counseling to everyone who wants it, even if you cannot afford it, because this is a private pay. And so one of the things that's included in that is forming a corporation and getting nonprofit status. So we formed the corporation and then had attorney with one attorney, and then got more information from speaking with someone else who said we needed to change some things about the formation. Now, right here, you can see I'm starting to get out of my depth. I've already done the thing wrong, even with help. So we file these amended articles of incorporation and send it off, and I'm like, oh, great, that's done. Well, the state says, no, it's not done. We didn't want you to repeat the address. We already know your address and we know, I think, the name of the foundation. We don't want that again. We want what you're going to be doing? What work are you going to be performing? So I try to get a hold of that attorney, find out he's not available, don't want to pay the late fee. So I think, oh, this is ridiculous. I could do this. They just want the thing done without the address and without whatever it was. So I send it in. They're like, send it back. Wrong. You didn't follow the directions. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm getting starting to sweat. Okay, I can do this. Call them up. Talk with a person on the phone who tells me what they believe is wanted and says to me, yeah, this is really complicated. You really need an attorney who studied this. I said, yeah, well, he's on vacation. And so I don't want to pay the late fee. And I'm just figuring, between the two of us, we should be able to figure this out. So I send it in again, comes back wrong. Like, oh my gosh, because I misinterpret it. And again, finally get a hold of the attorney, and he is able to do it. My interpretation has been incorrect this entire time. Looking at what he did, I am then able to read what they have said to me and understand, oh, this is what they meant. But without his legal background, I was lost. I could say I'm a failure. Well, I am kind of a failure at creating these articles of incorporation, but that's not my area of expertise. So I am not going to get really upset about making a mistake. And that's what what I want to share with you. When you keep trying to do things that you don't like or you don't have any affinity for, you don't enjoy them, you don't appreciate them, you have no talent or training, or you just keep thinking if I copy someone else long enough or follow a trend that it's going to make me become something that I'm not, you are experiencing imposter syndrome. You stopped being true to you and you are trying to be something that you cannot be. So, success, which is what you are, even if you haven't recognized it, you're all successful. Success is going to begin when it's like building a layer cake. When you first find your intrinsic value. Those are your gifts. What do you do well? And I'm going to show you how to do this in just a minute. What do you do well? What are your natural abilities? That's your bottom layer. That's the foundation. That's the thing upon which everything else stands upon. And when we do heart healing, we always take away all of the extraneous and give you a solid foundation, the understanding of who you are, that bottom layer. What brings you joy? That's your foundation. That's your purpose, and that's going to give you that satisfaction. Now, the bottom layer is your gifts you brought to share. The middle layer, all the experiences that you have had surrounding these gifts. Because you've brought these gifts to share, they've been active since childhood. You will have experiences where you're using these gifts, when you've walked into your bliss, when you have helped someone else or shared your gifts. You will have a schooling or training that you can add on to this. This is shaping the gift into a usable form. And then you have your top layer. And this is your interpretation of the gift that you've brought to share and the training and schooling that you've participated in. This is another thing that we do in heart healing. Okay, we've given you this foundation. Now we're going to give you techniques. And always I say, don't do it my way. Do it the way that feels right to you. Learn it my way so that you have a structure, and then start adding yourself into the process. This is so important because you are the ingredient that is everything. So, what's the frosting? It's you finding joy in expressing the you that always was, the you that is powerful and has a gift and can't wait to share it. So, what are the cake sinkers? What's going to make those layers all fall down together? Doubt, fear, worry, anxiety, past trauma, and abuse. These are all the ways in which you can possibly knock yourself out of that perfect cake into a disaster, a squashed disaster. So, this is why it's so important for you to clear and heal your heart of all these limitations so that you are able just to interact with you, and you will call to you success and authentic opportunities that feel good. So, how are we going to get to this place? Well, I want you to work on your self esteem building with an honest assessment and be willing to change what isn't working. It's never going to work for you to be a shoemaker who has to sit and mold these shoes if you have no fine muscle ability, if you're just clumsy. However, you will have a gift that can be used, even if it isn't in the shoemaking business. But in a minute, I'm going to show you how the talent that this particular person brought is making all of the difference, even in the shoemaking business. So there's always a workaround if you're willing to work with your strengths and not harp on your weaknesses. Imposter syndrome is going to tell you, oh, I'm not good enough to be anything. It's a bold lie. It's an ego manipulation. And you need to right off the bat understand that if you are running around telling yourself, I'm just not good at anything, you're lying, and that's unacceptable. Everyone has brought a gift. There are no exceptions. You have to find your gift and you have to hone it. You have to work at it. So, what can you do about it? How are we going to change this? Honest inner work is your first assignment. You got to start seeing yourself as you are. Do the work to clear and heal your heart. Get rid of all the illusion, that fear based thinking that's standing between you and who you are. You got to put the effort into growing. Don't give up. It's not going to happen overnight. So, another lie can be, well, if you were going to be successful, it would have already happened. It doesn't happen overnight. It is going to be a slow growing process. Maybe there's a freak thing and you suddenly go viral, but it doesn't usually happen that way. So, you want to gather evidence for your quest. You want to find out, what am I good at? And where am I trying to make myself good that is just not working for me? So, to do this, you're going to have two lists. The first thing is a job or a position that you're aspiring to. Choose anything, choose whatever your heart is telling you. I want to go to this particular job. So you want to list all of the qualities that that would require. It doesn't matter if it's in the creative field or if it's in the mathematical field. Every job has specific characteristics that you need in order to do well at it. So let's go back to our handmade shoes. In order to be good at that job, you would need steady hands, expert sight, and ability to be precise, able to do fine work like stitching and be able to do that repetitively. You got to be careful not to waste because remember, you're working with product, and you have to have an artistic sense. You've got to be able to see where you're going with this project if it's really going to become something that people would want to wear. So In our particular example of the shoemaker, our child sees the big picture, is a great motivator, and very gregarious. They like to figure things out, and they have future focus, a sort of a future forecast about them. They're able to see what trend is going to come up next. So, if that person were to complete the two lists, you have the list of the job qualities necessary, and you have the list of what the person is capable of doing, you would see that there is a complete disconnect. So, asking yourself to go into this job that requires precision is asking yourself to fail. But there is a job that our child would be better suited for. If it's a good match, you're going to have that beautiful mirroring effect. You're going to see that the qualities you bring are the qualities the job is asking for. If you are trying to be something you're not, you get that missing. Yeah, maybe you connect somewhere, but you won't connect fully. However, if we think about our child who sees the big picture, is a great innovator and gregarious, meaning they love people and to talk to people, they love to figure things out, and they're really good at anticipating trends, they could be the marketing expert for this shoe company. Because if you sit and make shoes all day long and no one knows about your fabulous shoes, it's going to be very difficult for you to make a living at being a shoemaker. So, if we look at what the marketer needs, well, the marketer needs to gauge the audience to be able to see where the product would fit. So, oh my gosh, you need to see the big picture. You got to make people excited to participate. Make people feel like they're really getting something good because they want to engage with your product. So, great motivator. Are you seeing how this is beginning to fit together and why it's going to be perfect for our shoemaker's child? They also need to be a problem solver because if the market is not responding, you need to figure out why. And lastly, you need to know what the next trend will be so you can get there in anticipation. If you're still selling last year's shoes to this year's market, or you have no stock for what's going to come up, you're going to have a big gap when you're not making any sales. So there is a perfect fit, and there's a perfect fit for everyone. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you do what someone else wants you to do. You have to do what your heart tells you you are in alignment with. So you got to go where your skills will be appreciated, valued, and where you actually bring something worthwhile to the table. Do the inner work to see yourself as you truly are. It's not going to come from watching a bunch of videos about the latest trend. You got to take the honest assessment, just like we did for our shoemaker. What is it that I'm telling myself I want to do? What do I really love? First, what do I really love? Or, you know what, if you have a job in mind and you need to find out whether it's worth it to apply to it, then look at that job, break it down into characteristics. Then look at you. Put that list aside. Just look at you. What do you do well? Well, if you don't do any of the things well that this job is asking you to do, you're giving yourself a giant headache and you will make yourself feel like a failure. So be honest in your assessment and then go after those things that are in alignment with you and leave alone the other things. I have no business going to law school. I don't like that whole way of thinking. I couldn't even do it with the help of the clerk. I had to wait until the guy came back from vacation so he could do it. She and I had no business in the legal field. She was a clerk, and I was just trying to get my foundation established correctly. I'm not ever going to apply to be a job as anything in the legal field because that was enough to show me I am a failure. Doesn't mean I'm a failure overall. It means I don't have the kind of mind that does well with this nitpicky kind of wording that is necessary in order to appease the state. I do well talking with angels and helping people understand who they are. And that's the work that I do. So, who's our helper for today that's going to help you really begin seeing who you are? Now, remember, they won't and cannot do it for you. And that's because if someone just keeps handing you things and you don't ever put it into practice, you have no ownership. But they are certainly able and delighted to help you. And that helper today is Sanat Kamora. He is considered to be the holder of all wisdom, and he helps guide the evolutionary path of the earth and all incarnated souls. And this includes humans and animals. So Sanat Kamora is guiding all of us in coming together to have the most wonderful experience, the most wonderful growth that we can have within every life journey. So let me tell you a little bit about him and how he can help you. He's the guardian of the sacred flame. Now, before you start saying, oh, where's that sacred flame, or I don't have it, yes, you do. Everyone has everything they need to succeed. Your sacred flame is located in the heart. And even though it may not be burning brightly right now, because you've allowed a lot of stuff to get in the way, that sacred flame is still burning and is just waiting for you to release all of the shame, the pain, the blame, and the abuse, and to step back into who you really are as you establish a relationship with the divine. And then you will see that flame begin to glow. Now, the tradition of burning a Yule log is actually a reminder that we all have this sacred flame and we need to do the inner work in order to keep it burning. So if you're feeling like, gosh, I really am disconnected, perhaps create a little ritual around burning a Yule log and reminding yourself that you have a sacred flame and perhaps it just needs to be dusted off. Call on Sanat Kamora to help you. He'll invite you to embrace all aspects of yourself. When you deal with the energetic realm, they're never going to let you get away with the idea that you're not good enough. You're not going to be right for everything, but there is something where you can shine. So if you want to go to them and bellyache, oh, I'm just not good at anything, they're not going to listen. Instead, they're going to point you inside and direct you to do the cleanup work necessary so that you can discover what you are good at. And Sanat Kamora is going to help you destroy the negative tendencies that have weakened the connection. So, with him helping you out, you're going to stop engaging in that negative behavior that is causing you to tell yourself a lie over and over and over again. He's going to help you banish your ignorance and replace it with divine wisdom. We are being ignorant when we are believing the lie, falling for the illusion, stepping into lockstep with the ego instead of just saying, I am everything I need to be, and all that is required of me is to stop pretending and start receiving. Start understanding all that I am and stepping into the place where me as I truly am will shine. And I guarantee you, there is a place for you. The last thing I want to tell you about Sanat Kumara is he loves to remind us how to create miracles. So get busy finding out who you are. And Jason, you said, oh, you know what? We all go through times. Jason says, oh, I know I'm an imposter with that definition. I used to be one myself. I think all actors, oh, this is very true, and models like my past are in alignment with that imposter syndrome. This is very true and very important. If you are in a creative field, you may believe that you have to be something else in order to really be good at your craft. But I'm going to tell you, the best actors, the best models, the best in that profession are just being themselves and inviting you into that space of truth. It doesn't mean that they are not stepping into the energetic resonance of whatever character they're portraying. But while they are doing the portrayal, they are being 100% authentically themselves and expressing that character through that truth. They are not trying to be the character, they are embodying the energy of that character and putting it out from their truthful place instead of their wannabe imposter place. If you are acting as an imposter, you're trying to look like someone else instead of just, hey, I'm me. I'm fabulous me. And I'm really in awe of my greatness. And it's okay to be in awe of your greatness because that means you're in alignment with your truth, with your divine presence, and you're not trying to be something that you're not. And you recognize that there is greatness in each person. And it is awe inspiring when you really see somebody step into alignment with who they are. It is miraculous. Now, an actor that does that really well is Meryl Streep. Doesn't try to be anyone else, just does herself, but does herself in the fullness of the research of the character. Really steps into that place, but doesn't let go of who she is. Person very great at making us believe whatever it is that she's portraying. So, no matter what job you have, there's a little bit of acting that goes along with it. You've got to act as though you really understand what you are saying or sharing until you might get to that place. So it's okay to feel like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm good enough. In the beginning, nobody's good enough. In the beginning, everybody feels like they're never going to understand or make it or be able to share their passion or their truth. That's where you really have to knuckle down and become even more. You have the raw talent. Now you've got to turn it into something. So, on that note, I absolutely believe in all of you. I don't believe all of you are right for everything, but I know that each one of you is right for something. So, find the thing that you are right with and then put in the time and the effort to make it your success story. Thanks, everyone. I'm so grateful you were here. Jason, thank you for commenting. Oh, one more thing, guys. I completely forgot. I want to share with you if you're ready to have the support of the energetic realm and you don't want to do a whole big counseling, you just want the tools and the techniques, join me in my heart's desire. That's my Patreon group. It's $11.11 a month, and you will get access to the tools and techniques that I use in order to stay in alignment and to stay in my purpose. So there's the link. Everyone is welcome. And I'm just so grateful for all of you being here. Thanks so much. Until next time, I'm sending you all my love.